Sales Babble is sponsored by Vidyard, a video solution for sales professionals. This is the Sales Babble Podcast, episode 382, Cold Calling Tactics in a Work-from-Home World, an interview with Mark Hunter.
Welcome to Sales Babble, the podcast that shares selling secrets for non-sellers. And now your host, Pat Helmers.
Hello, Sales Babblers. This is Pat Helmers. And if you've been wondering what the future looks like in a work-from-home world, if you've been thinking about what happens when your prospect's not in the office, when they're not answering their desk phone, when they're rarely on LinkedIn and they're not responding to email, what's a salesperson to do? In this episode, returning guest Mark Hunter shares cold calling tactics in a work-from-home world. He gives practical advice on cold calling, leaving voicemails, and how to follow up with an email. If you feel like your prospecting is stuck in neutral, this is the episode for you. And so, with no further ado, let's get to it. Welcome, Mark. Are you ready to babble?
I am ready to babble. Let's babble away.
Mark, I'm so excited to have you back here on the podcast. I did a little bit of a forensics here, and I see that you were on episode 142. That was like December 13th, 2016. In fact, I don't know if you recall this, I was living in Asia. I was living in Thailand in those days.
Wow. And I was still here. I was still here in Omaha at that time. So
you were still in Omaha, you and Warren Buffett. You talked about social media and some of the myths around it, and you said something that's stuck in my mind, and I'll never forget it. You can't eat clicks and likes.
I tell you what, the only thing I've changed on that is I still believe in that. I just say you can't take clicks and likes to the bank. And it is. I mean, I see so many people saying, wow, I've got 30,000 followers, 100,000 followers. And I go, well, how is it monetizing for you? Because I'll tell you what, for the vast majority of people, you can't figure out a way to monetize it.
No, you're exactly right. And that's something worth reminding people all the time. But we're not here to talk about marketing. We're here to talk about sales because you are the sales expert. And with a name like Hunter, it's all about prospecting to a certain degree, isn't it?
It is. I guess I was destined for that, wasn't I? I mean, with the last name of Hunter, you got to kind of use it. Yeah, I mean, I owe the last name Hunter to my father. So, I mean, with that name, I guess I had to go into sales. And no, I didn't have to change it. Because you know what? It's amazing the number of people that ask me, so what was your name before you changed it to Hunter? Oh, please, people, you're killing me.
All right. Well, I've been asked this a few times in the last week or two, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on the podcast, that what with people doing work from home still, a lot of salespeople are finding it hard to catch people on the telephone. They're not even sure what their telephone numbers are. They're not their office numbers, and it's practically impossible to drop by the office and stop by and shake a hand because they're not in the office, or they're only in there one day a week. And they've all got these like 7-step email cadences that are like plummeting into them, but they're probably going into spam. And another thing I hear is like a lot of businesses are doing pretty well now, now that the economy's breaking back out. So they don't have time to really think and want to buy. What is a seller to do in this situation?
Wow, you have said so much with what you just shared, because we have gone through a full 360 on the use of the phone over the past year. When the pandemic first began, nobody was reachable on the phone. Then everybody was sitting around home and everybody was reachable. Now they're unreachable again.
Yes.
It is. Right? I mean, it's absolutely crazy. And what's funny is because we're kind of morphing into this hybrid type of approach, what phone numbers do I use? What emails do I use? Where does it go? And you said something also, that 7-step cadence. You're right. It's going to spam. They're not even seeing it at all, period. So don't kid yourself. This is where you really have to be using a cross-section of tools, I think, to prospect more than ever. Yes, it requires social media, but let's not kid ourselves. It's not like everybody lives on social media. I mean, let's take LinkedIn, for instance. it's easy for salespeople to say, "Oh, everybody's on LinkedIn," because they're on LinkedIn. But you know what? Unless you're selling to other salespeople, they're not going to be on LinkedIn nearly as much as you are. Or unless you're selling to HR, or you're selling to unemployed people, or soon to be unemployed people, because that's the 4 categories of people that are on LinkedIn the most. So you gotta pick your bullets wisely. You got to know where to target. And that's where it really does. I mean, there are tools out there, whether it be a Zoom Info, any of these other tools out there that help you access phone numbers. Yeah, you do. There is no silver bullet to breaking through these days.
This is disappointing. I was hoping you were going to shed some light on this so that
yeah. Hey, I wish there was some light to shed. But you see, what I find interesting is this. People are finally over this whole thing of, well, I don't want to call their cell number. No, you call if you only have a cell number, you call their cell number. I never hesitate, and I tell this to salespeople, never hesitate to call somebody's cell number, period. Go for it. Because here's the whole thing. Chances are they're not working in the office, or chances are they might be working remotely, and their office number just goes to voicemail and it never gets listened to. So if you are going to have any kind of glimmer of hope, go to the cell number if you have it.
That's an interesting point, because I even find myself hesitant. Well, let me call the office first, because I got both their numbers.
Now, here's one thing to be cautious of regarding cell numbers. Make sure you know what time zone you're calling into, because I don't think that person really wants to have a 5 a.m. wake-up call from you trying to sell them something. If you're on Eastern time and you're calling somebody and they're on Pacific Daylight Time, make sure you're mindful of what time zone they happen to be in. So you're catching them more during normal awake quasi work hours.
Okay, so let's say I do call them. What do I say?
Well, here's the whole situation. Who are you calling? Are you calling random numbers? I hope not. I hope you're calling people who you know you can really make an impact on, who you can help. So I love leading off with either a question or a statement relative to their industry, relative to what's going on, relative to something of interest, keen interest to them. And I said question or statement. My preference is actually question. I love coming right out of the chute. And the question is, how's the weather, or how's your week going? I mean, come on. I mean, think about this.
Of course, we just did that when we hopped on this call.
Well, yeah. But we had a scheduled call. We knew what we were going to be doing.
Yes.
If you randomly pick up the phone and somebody's calling you and somebody says, "Hey, this is Ed. How's the weather? How's your day going?" I mean, excuse me. Don't you know it is a salesperson? And don't you know, click, you want to hang up on them? Yes. If you need to know the weather where I am in the city I'm in, why don't you check the internet? You don't need to call me, okay? Period. Cut to the chase, come right in and ask them a question. Because, hey, look, you're catching them off guard. Let's not kid ourselves. People didn't wake up in the morning and say, "Oh, man, I hope I get 10 prospecting calls today." No. So I've got to catch them, engage them within those first 3 or 4 seconds. If I don't, I'm never going to engage them, period.
Yep. And you really got to know your value proposition and just get that spit out as fast as possible.
Well, it is. And this whole thing, the value proposition has to be geared to them, to their value, not to your value. It's not like,
of course,
hey, we've done all kinds of all this. Who cares? They have their challenges. They have their problems. I mean, one of the things that I love to do is I'm gonna prospect within a certain specific industry, or I'm gonna prospect within a very specific niche. So the idea being is that I can have a question or two that I can lead with, and I can run with that pretty much all day with all the calls I'm making. And what does it do? It allows me to get into a rhythm. It allows me to begin building confidence. And oh, by the way, I'm going to wind up picking up some conversations along the way, which are going to give me more insights. Let me give you an example. lumber prices right now, are actually falling significantly.
They are. It was just announced like a few days ago.
Yeah. And it's interesting. But if you're dealing with somebody in the building materials industry or anybody like that, you can sit there and say, hey, what's happening on your end with the price of lumber falling as dramatically as it is? And they're going to say, well, who are you? Hey, I'm Mark Hunter and I'm with so-and-so. And really, I'm really trying to figure out, how are you responding to it? Well, why are you asking? Well, because I've helped a lot of other companies just like yours overcome this challenge. Oh, you see how I did that? You see how I came back to the question twice and I was able to say, I've helped other companies just like yours overcome this, I've worked with other companies to help them find solutions. See, what am I doing? I'm delivering a confirmation statement while I'm sitting there engaging them in the question I want to ask them. And the input I get, think about this. If I'm calling maybe 30 people today and I'm going to use that question, I might have a conversation with one or two. So now say I'm in call number 25 or 30, I'm working my way through my list and somebody says, well, why ask? Well, I was talking with another person earlier today, and you were talking to another person earlier today, and they shared with you insights. I'm never going to reveal proprietary information, but what does it do? It allows that prospect to see me as having authority, as really being one of them in the industry. This is so key to developing credibility.
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love that. So what would I do? Let's say I'm making these phone calls. I get a lot of robocalls on my phone. So if I see a number I don't really recognize, I commonly won't answer it, right? I'll let it roll over to voicemail. Of course, they never leave a voicemail. In this case, you would be all about leaving a voicemail. Is that right?
Oh, I always leave a voicemail. Leave a voicemail. And the voicemail is 12 to 16 seconds long. It's short. It's tight. And the whole idea is you just want to convey one idea, one piece that's going to get them thinking, I need to talk to this person. Okay, let's not kid ourselves. They're not going to call you back. Yeah, okay, let's not kid ourselves. But here's what you're doing with a 12 to 16 second voicemail, and I really like 12 to 14 seconds, is they begin to see you as respecting their time. I had a salesperson leave me a voicemail that was 1 minute and 37 seconds long on my phone. Think about that for a moment. It was so bad I had to listen to it like 3 times because I really want to use this as a poster child for bad voicemails. I'm not going to. I'll have to edit, the person's name, etc.
Right.
Here's a couple of things though. You think I'm ever going to want to have a conversation with that individual? No. Because if he leaves a 1:37 second voicemail, I can only imagine what he's like live. You see, one of the things I'm doing when I leave a very short voicemail, I'm saying I respect your time. I might leave you 2 or 3 voicemails. I might send you 3 or 4 emails. I might try to reach out to you half a dozen different ways. But if every time I'm respectful of your time, I'm leaving you a different message. I'm not saying, hey, did you see my last email? Hey, or this is the one I love. Just checking in. I didn't know I was running a hotel. I really didn't know I was running a hotel. No.
Sales Babble is sponsored by Vidyard. Vidyard is an easy-to-use yet powerful video solution that makes it simple to create videos, host them ad-free, share them with others, and track their performance. Whether you're recording a video for one person or sharing it with the world on your website, it's easy to manage your video content. Vidyard's solution is built for business with robust analytics, integrations with top enterprise tools, and customization options that answer businesses' unique needs. But you may be asking yourself, what's this got to do with sales? Well, with Vidyard, you can differentiate your emails by putting a face to a name when prospecting, following up, and demos. You can use the same CRM and outreach tools that you use every day to build content the entire sales team can leverage and track analytics to know which videos convert best. Sign up for a free Vidyard account today by going to vidyard.com/babble, and as a bonus, get their high conversion virtual sales playbook. Again, go to vidyard.com/babble. That's BABBLE.
I mean, some of these messages, whether it be emails, whether it be voicemails, can be so pathetic, or this one. I just wanted to bounce this one up to the top of your email list. Well, I'm going to bounce you right out the door, cowboy. I mean, see, every message needs to bring a different piece of information insight. And what happens is you get enough of these from me, and in timely manners, in a manner that, this is respectful. Then one day I'm going to call you, and you're actually going to pick up the phone, and we're going to have a conversation. Because I will have earned the right, the privilege, honor, and respect to talk with you, even though I've never actually talked with you. But all of my contacts up to that point have been just very, very engaging in terms of sharing you information, insights you can run with.
Now, some people are going to be pretty disappointed that they don't get a reply on that. That they don't call them back. They're going to become impatient. How many times should they keep leaving these voicemails?
Well, here's the whole thing. I can actually leave more voicemails than I can emails, because eventually, email filter systems will pick me up and throw me over to spam. So in that regard, I can leave more voicemails. I might leave 6, 7, 8, 9 voicemails over the course of X period of time. And X period is going to depend upon what it is you're selling, the frequency of the purchase, who you're trying to reach out to, and really what is the buying cycle that the prospect most likely is in. Let me give you a quick example. I deal a lot in the transportation, arena. And so there's a lot of companies that are looking to move freight every day. So they're always looking for carriers to move freight. If I'm a carrier, I can call these people almost every day, because really, they got freight to move every day. If, on the other hand, what I'm selling is a capital expenditure item, and I have to sell it to the CEO or the CFO, I'm not going to call them every day. I might try to reach out to them every 5-6 days, maybe every 7 or 8 days. However, if I know their contract is up soon, I know they have to be in a decision-making process, I might accelerate it. See, so again, there's a lot of variables that come into play in terms of the frequency and the methodology used. One that I really advocate right now is I'm going to send you an email, and I'm going to call you about an hour later. Or I'm going to call you, and then an hour later, I'm going to send you an email. I don't care which way you go. There's all kinds of arguments and conversations on both sides. I just say, do it. And here's the reason I like it. More than ever right now, we are in a state of economic growth. Now, it's an optimistic economic growth, but decisions are being made. But here's what I find. People are having to move very fast on the decisions they choose to make, the decisions they choose to make. Because really what it comes down to is people are only racing after solutions to their number 1 or number 2 problem. You might have a great solution that's 5, 6, 7, 8 on somebody's list. They're never going to get around to it. I just bought a software package from a company that I'd been looking at for probably about a year and a half. But it was always number 6, 7, 8 on my priority list. Now it's finally up to 1 or 2, and boom, I bought it.
That's the thing. Sometimes these kinds of decisions, I've found that in my own life too. It takes me a long time to make a decision, and you do a lot of shopping, and then eventually when the time comes, it goes quick.
You do, but see, this is the whole thing though. So you may not be getting a response, but you keep trying to reach out. You keep trying to reach out because this gentleman, this company I bought the software from, the reason I bought it from them is because they had remained in touch with me.
Yes.
Over the last year. And it wasn't like they were getting responses from me. They weren't getting responses from me, but they were sending me insightful information. Very good information. So naturally, when it became my number one or two, and they happened to call me one time, I did pick up the phone. I had a great conversation, and we're engaged in the process.
Yeah. Before we wrap this up, I actually want to take it back to the beginning.
Yeah.
There used to be a big conversation about, cold calling's dead. They need to be warm calls. So it kind of goes back to the conversation we had at the very beginning of people aren't picking up the phone. You don't know where to call. They're not on LinkedIn often, maybe once a week. They're not getting your email. How do you warm these people up so that they do take your call? What can people do in this time, here in 2021?
Yeah, that's thing. I mean, people sit there and say cold calling's dead. And I'll sit there and say, hey, that's a blanket statement. I mean, that's just a blanket statement. Now, if you're selling blankets, you can take that to the bank. but if not, so anyway, that was
clever.
Bad. Anyway.
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I will get more coffee. Here's the thing. All of my calling. Yes, I'm going to be cold calling, so to speak, in terms of they aren't going to know me. But I will have done research on them because I know they're in my ideal customer profile. I'm all about your ICP, your ideal customer profile. So I'm going to be reaching out to people because when I reach out to people who match my ICP, I know I can help them. And think about this for a moment. If I know I can help somebody, I have an obligation to do so. Let's flip this around the other way. If I woke up this morning and I had a problem, and I need to get it solved. And somebody else knew that I had that problem and knew they could help me. Wouldn't I want them to reach out to me? You bet I would want them to reach out to me. You see, that's what prospecting is all about. I don't feel it's a cold call at all when I'm reaching out to people who are in this sweet spot of who I can help. Now, it's cold in that. We've probably have never talked before. But boy, it's as warm as can be because I know I can help them. Because the goal of sales, the goal of prospecting is very simple. It's to help others see and achieve what they did not think was possible. That's it. It's not complex. It's not rocket science. So if I know I can help somebody, later on today, I'm going to be making calls. We happen to be recording this on a Friday in the summer. And you know what? Friday afternoons in the summer are a great time to prospect. I've got a whole series of phone calls I'll be making this afternoon. Now, I know I won't reach many of the people, but the ones I do reach, I know I'm going to have a great conversation because it's Friday afternoon in the summer. They're going to be a little more laid back. And oh, by the way, the ones that I do leave voicemail messages for, they're going to sit there and say, wow, he tried to reach out to me at 3:30 on a Friday afternoon. This guy must be pretty serious. Now, is that going to generate a return phone call? No. But again, it goes into this marketing mix, so to speak. And it begins preparing you. And we will have a conversation somewhere down the road.
I love it. Last year, you published a book.
Yes. Right in the middle of a pandemic. How's that sound? Great timing, huh?
I went and looked it up. It was in March 2020, A Mind for Sales.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, that book, I mean, people, it was so funny because I had written the book about 18 months before then. When I came out with the book, people said, how did you know this pandemic? And because the content is so spot on because it really is about your mindset. And I said, I didn't know, but regardless of what economic situation we're in, the book is spot on. But here's what blew me away. People sat there and said, you can't release the book right now. You're going to have to wait till after the pandemic's over. And I said, hold it. A Mind for Sales. If I did not release that book then, I would be doing myself a disservice. I wouldn't be eating my own dog food. I had to release it. Now, did we release it a little bit differently than we would have if it had been normal time? Yes. But again, A Mind for Sales. What's A Mind for Sales about? It's about finding solutions and finding ways around problems and challenges, regardless of what they might be. That's what we did. And we had a very successful book launch. It's done incredibly well. We've got well over 200 reviews out on Amazon now.
Yeah, I'm looking at them right now.
You're
a 4.6 out of 5.
Yeah,
These are terrific.
Yeah, I mean it's over 200 reviews out there. I mean it's mind blowing to sit there and say or to hear from other salespeople who would say, "Oh, you can't release a book." I go, "No." By the way, would you read the book? I mean, that's what I want to tell the people. Would you read the book? Because maybe they don't have a mind for sales.
So as we mentioned, that's on Amazon. If people want to reach out to you, Mark, and connect with you, what's the best way of doing that?
Well, the best way is thesaleshunter.com. Like I said, you got the last name Hunter, so you run with it, and The Sales Hunter, and don't steal it. It is trademarked. But that's the website. Like, we got a lot of stuff out there people can grab. And of course, I'm all over LinkedIn. We put videos out there continuously. We do a lot of LinkedIn Live. So anyway, it's just Google me, Mark Hunter, The Sales Hunter. I'll come up. Because if I don't, then, man, I haven't done my homework, have I?
You haven't done your SEO. I see you on LinkedIn all the time, which is what it actually prompted me to reach back out to you. I'm like, I just see Mark all the time. He's always doing really great stuff. I love your posts. And I thought, dang nabbit, it'd be awesome to get you back on Sales Babble. It says here in an email that you sent me that you wanted to give away 14 things great salespeople do.
Yeah, because isn't that what great salespeople do? They give away things. So, and when I was researching the book, A Mind for Sales, and earlier in my book, High Profit Prospecting, I spent a lot of time with the top 1%. And I've kind of coalesced it all down and come up with this list of 14 things. And here's the value of it for any salesperson. You get the list, and don't try to tackle all 14 at one time. Just tackle one. Master it. Then move on to the next one. Master that one. Go on to the next one. And you know what? Then pretty soon you'll be in that top 1%.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Mark, for babbling here on Sales Babble. It's been fun to have you back.
Hey, always great. And let's not make it 4 years again, okay? Let's kind of do this a little more frequently, or I'll forget how to babble. How's that?
Yes, sir.
To connect with Mark and to find links to his new book and links to his last visit here on Sales Babble, that's episode 142, Myths on Social Selling. You can find all of those links in the show notes at www.salesbabble.com, as well as links to our sponsor, Vidyard, video solutions for sales professionals. I just completed an interview with Joe McAuliffe, who's going to be next week, and he's going to be talking about what you need to do for a mid-year review of your pipeline. Great stuff. During our conversation, he started talking about Vidyard and how he's been using it for prospecting and selling. Really great stuff. Learn all about Vidyard also in the show notes at www.salesbabble.com. If you've got a question or a comment, don't hesitate to reach out and talk to us. Send me a message on the link Babble Me. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the podcast so you never miss another episode. That's all we've got for this week. Until next week, when we talk to Joe, take care and have a highly successful and a profitable selling day.
Thank you for listening to the Sales Babble podcast. Find us at www.salesbabble.com.
This is a production of Habanero Media.